Hello! Let me know if you can hear me in the Twitch chat. Hey everybody. My wife is making tea, so right over there, she's making tea. So that should be done in a second. Strauskowski. Hey, thanks for subscribing. I really appreciate that. There's you can follow, you can subscribe. I don't know what the difference is. I think they're all the same, but I appreciate you doing the subscribe thing with Prime. It's very cool. I've also realized that when people subscribe, I get money, and I didn't want money. So what I'm going to do is donate the money to charity. So any money that this live stream makes, I'm going to donate to the Innocent Lives Foundation. So that is a thing I'm going to do. Because the other day I checked my Twitch stream thing, and it said I had $10.65, and I was like, what for? And I was like, oh, subscribers. Oh, okay. And then I was like, why do I have money? What am I going to do with it? So I decided to donate that money to the Innocent Lives Foundation. So any money that this live stream makes, this live stream, not other live streams, this one goes to the Innocent, not today's, but just in general, the job hunting live streams, it goes to the Innocent Lives Foundation. And they do cool work to catch internet predators preying on children. So that's really cool. Not that that's really cool. It's cool that they catch them. All right, it's 1 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, and we're going to do some job hunting. So let me say hi to everybody. We got DDip214. Hey, how's it going? We got Eyes. Some people show up here just to hear me mispronounce screen names. So IZR not Guio209. Hello, thanks for being here. And Slegna, always great to see you. And I mean, it's always great to see everybody, but Slegna, if you don't know, just shows up all the time. I get to see Slegna all the time. All right, and if you are new, please let me know in the Twitch chat. It's always good to see who's new, and if there are new people, make sure I cover things that I wouldn't maybe not cover if there wasn't new people here. But for the most part, we got a first timer. We got Contrabula27. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. And then it's your first time here too. Izar0209. Hi, thanks for being here. And today we're going to do some job hunting. Hi, my name is Jason Blanchard. I do this live stream twice a week, Tuesday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Jacqueline. Oh, my wife is Jacqueline, but L-Y-N at the end. But the same J-C-Q-E. There was one time I had to send her a package, and I couldn't remember if it was J-A-Q-C-U-E or J-A-C-Q-U-E, because a lot of times she'll reduce her name to J-A-Q, just like Jack. And then I was having this crisis where I had to send her a package, and if I actually didn't spell her name properly, what would that say about our marriage? And we had just only been married for about a year. And so I got it. It was totally fine. But there was that moment in the post office. I was like, I don't know if this is right. All right. And apparently I got your name right. Cool. Phew. Nice. All right, everybody. We're going to do some job hunting. So what I would like to do is I have been doing this 5-part series. So part 1 was a deep dive into finding the type of work that you want to do. Part 2 was in reverse engineering job descriptions to build a resume for yourself. Step 3 is to apply at the company's website, but what can you learn by being at the company's website, and what can you use in the job hunt? Step 4 is to find internal advocates at organizations to introduce yourself to as a person who's applied to work there, so that way they put a face to the name, or they put a human being to the application, so that way you're no longer just a faceless, nameless person in a stack of other faceless, nameless people, that you're like, hi, I'm a human and I'd like to work with you all. And so that's step 4. And step 5 is managing your follow-ups. So what that looks like, and I'll just cover it pretty quickly here at the beginning, is that you generate a lot of information while job hunting. There's the companies you're hunting for jobs for, there's the job post, there's the website that you could go to get more information, there's the people that you reach out to. It's what was the title of the person that you spoke to, What is their LinkedIn profile? When did you contact them? What happened by contacting them? Like, there's a lot of information that's generated while job hunting. And there's two kinds of people. I'm sure there's like 27 kinds of people, but there's two kinds of people, one that keeps track of everything and one that doesn't. And so if you're the person who keeps track of everything, go ahead and say yes inside the Twitch chat. If you're a person who does not keep track of anything, then say no. And if you're somewhere in between, then be like 50-50, and that's fine. And then Jackie's like, that's three kinds of people. And I'm like, just finish your tea. So, yes, we all heard you making tea. And Menza Anjum, I'm going to say that. Thanks for being here for the first time. And B Mully, is this where we apply for BHI's new shtick? Maybe. And then, so we got 50-50s coming in. And we got Life Bleeder 1 saying 50-50. And so you most likely fall into either one of these three categories, where you keep track of everything, you keep track of nothing, or you keep track of some things. So the reason why it's important to keep track and to monitor and just organize all this information is because, one, you could either look at all this, and this is all the job hunting that we've been doing over the last couple months, and I keep track of it briefly. I don't go in depth with this, but this is what it looks like to start keeping track of the information: who you talked to, when you talked to them, who you reached out to, what kind of information happened afterwards. And sometimes people ask me if they can have this, and I'm like, no, it's just really simple. You can screenshot it if you want to. It's just really company, job post, website, point of contact, title. Now, while you're going through and doing this, what you could do is like have an extra category here for what was the message you sent, or if you got a response back, what was your follow-up email, or if they asked you to talk to somebody else, then you could put the new person's name in there. Like, it's completely up to you how much information you want to keep track of and what kind of information you do want to keep track of. But the main thing I want you to take away from this part of the live stream is to just keep track of it. Now, you can keep track of what happened, or you can keep track of what you're planning to do. So this is a reactive list. I do a search. I'm like doing a search for Starbucks here, and I end up finding Andrew Kirkland, and this is the global CISO of Starbucks. And if I go back here, you're going to see that Andrew Kirkland is the CISO of all of Starbucks. And we got this person here. And if you recall from a previous live stream, their messages are wide open. I mean, if you wanted to send an email or a LinkedIn message right now to Andrew Kirkland, the Global Chief Information Security Officer at Starbucks, you could do that right here. And if your heart just like skipped a beat, and if it raced for a second, and like if you're internally having this like argument with yourself of like, wait, you're telling me I could send a message to Andrew Kirkland, the Global Chief Information Security Officer at Starbucks? Sure. What's stopping you? What is stopping you from sending a message? It's not this. He's a second connection. We're not even friends on LinkedIn, and his messages are wide open, and if I wanted to send one, I totally could. And my message would be, hi, my name is blank, 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 and I would like to introduce myself. That's normally how I send all my messages. And I'm getting started today by just diving into part 4, like finding internal advocates, because it goes in part with the keeping track of all this information. So we're not even job hunting right now. I'm just showing you something, and then we're going to do a job hunt for someone on the live stream today. But I wanted to just jump right into this. If you're new, you haven't done this before, I wanted to show you what's capable if you keep track of your information. If you want to go back and talk to Andrew Kirkland, you always can. And so my message might be, would it be, here, let me show you my actual message. Hello, Andrew. I am reaching out today to see if it would be possible to get a 10 to 15 minute phone call with you about how you got to where you are in your career, and what advice would you have for someone like me transitioning into Cybersecurity, or someone like me graduating from college or university, or someone like me with 5 years of experience in Infosec, but wanting to make the leap to leadership? Question mark. So this would be the message I would send to Andrew Kirkland. Like, this isn't a, can I have a job, Andrew Kirkland? This is a, what would mentorship look like? Like an informal just phone call to talk for 10 to 15 minutes about this. Because sometimes job hunting isn't about the job that you're hunting for. It's about the job that you would like 10 to 15 to 20 years from now. So before I even get started, I wanted just to cover that, is that I'm not talking about the job that you need this moment to get the salary you need this moment. I'm talking about, what do you want your career to look like over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years? And if you don't know, that's fine. But one of the ways you might be able to figure out what you do want your career to look like is to reach out to someone like Andrew Kirkland and say, hey, would it be possible to get 10 to 15 minutes to talk to you about? And I'm not saying Andrew Kirkland's going to respond. I'm not. I'm saying that by you sending the message, you have an opportunity to potentially have this conversation with Andrew Kirkland. It's still 100% up to him. He has time. If he even looks at LinkedIn, all those other factors come in. It's like a Venn diagram of all these things and stuff. And like, does it happen? But let me bring up a message here. It's something I didn't cover in part 4, and I definitely want to cover here today before I go any further, because we're in like part 5 of the series of managing your information, managing your follow-ups, and all these things. Have you ever accidentally sent a real message while live streaming? I have not yet. So Strakowski, I have not done it yet. Should we add with this person before sending the message? No, I generally don't add anyone on LinkedIn unless I do plan to have a long-term career relationship with them. So if it's someone that I would like to seek out as mentor, generally I just send a message and ask that question first if they have their messages open. Anyone that wants to LinkedIn connect with me, as long as I don't think it's about selling me something, I will always connect with that person. So that's just, if anyone, it looks like they're going to sell me something, like they're a salesperson and they want me to buy something, they want to pitch me an idea, then generally I say no. But you're not selling anything to Andrew Kirkland. You are asking for career advice in a way that's mentorship-like. Here's the one thing. Oh, did that message go away? Did I do that? Oh, no, it's over here. Here's the one thing. If I ever get these messages, it's like an immediate no. It's, hello, Andrew. Could I pick your brain? Like, people even put like pick your brain in quotes for a bit. No, I'm not going to give you free consulting advice. Like, that's not a thing that I'm going to do. So could I pick your brain for a bit? Like, no. Would it be possible to get 10 to 15 minutes to talk to you about how you got to where you are in your career, and what advice would you have for someone like me? It's the same like thing as pick your brain, but it's in a way that sounds more like, would you please mentor me, or would you please give me advice about my future career? So it's different. Like, pick your brain sounds like free consulting, and being very deliberate in the words that you say about potential mentorship. Okay, so I'm going to discard this. So if we went back here, and let's say we did reach out to Andrew Kirkland, and let's say we did hypothetically do this back on 1/26, and then it's a week later, because you always, like, every 7 days, you're like, all right, let's follow up. And so you didn't hear anything back, and then now it's like February 23rd. So what's today? Today is, if you're watching the recording, then, you know, whatever day it is, but the day that this is being recorded is on March 5th. So if I'm past March 5th and I haven't heard anything, and I'm like, oh, well, nothing here, then I would reach out one last time. And if you're like, Jason, so what you're saying is you want me to reach out once, and then you want me to reach out again, and then you want me to reach out one more time. Like, yes, that's why managing your follow-ups is an important part of the job hunting process. Because let's go to this thing that I was going to write. 1 out of 99 things you try to accomplish will succeed. So let's talk about that. So where does this thought process come from? 1 out of 99, actually it's 1 out of 100. So 1 out of 100 things you try to accomplish will succeed. And that, when it comes to job hunting, when it comes to networking, when it comes to meeting people and building relationships and building all that stuff, I live with the mindset of 1 out of 100 things you try to accomplish will succeed. So what does that mean on the flip side? 99 out of 100 things you try to accomplish will not succeed. I don't want to say fail. It's not fail, because you're not failing. It's just not being successful. So let's do that. So if you were to say reach out to 100 people, how many, and I'm going to do, like, you can respond in the Twitch chat. If you were to live by this philosophy that for every 100 people I reach out to build my network, to get a job, to whatever the case is, for every 100 people I reach out to, one person will get back to me. So how many of them will not? And if you're like, what? Yeah, so if you were going to reach out to 100 people and 99 of them won't reach out to you, then how many of them will? One person. One person will reach back out to you. Now, this isn't like I'm going to harass 100 people to get back to me. It's I'm going to reach out as a person trying to learn new things and meet new people. I'm going to reach out, and if they don't get back to me, that's fine. I'm going to live with that. But like I said, I taught film school for a long time, and the hardest part about filmmaking is getting started, getting into the industry, and then once you're in the industry, like continuously working, because you might get on one gig, but you never work another movie again, or you might work on one TV show and you never work again. The film industry is incredibly difficult. And so I was teaching film students how to succeed in the film industry. And so I would tell those students 1 out of 100 things that you try to do will be successful, which means 99 of them will not be. And so what I tried to tell them, and what I'm going to tell you right now, is that if you can develop the mindset that it's okay that 99 of the things I try to do fail, then what happens is when you're like, okay, so I reached out to this person, they don't get back to me, 98. I reached out to this other person, they didn't get back to me, 97. I reached out to this person, 96. I filled out this job application, 94. I reached out to this person, and then this person, and then this person, and this person. Like, if you go into the mindset, like, and then 89 and 88 and 87, and I get it. I totally understand that if you go into this and you start getting to like 86, like you're gonna feel your confidence of like, no one's getting back to me. This isn't gonna work out. I'm destined to fail. Like, all that stuff starts kicking in. Like, I'm not saying that it doesn't. You're a human being. What I'm saying is that if you go into the mindset of like, all right, well, or somewhere around 80, like you go like, all right, world, let's do it. 79, bring it on. I'm going to reach out to another person. And like, you get to like, I know it's coming. And what happens is like, if you go into this mindset of like, here's 73, 72, 71, and like at some point around 70, you're like, son of a God, 68. Why won't anyone get back to me? You people suck. I should have never listened to Jason. Now I'm reaching out to all these people. Like that happens, and then around 62, you're like, it's fine. It's fine. I'm okay. It's okay. I know that some days it's not going to work out, and like all these things. And so whoever just joined me, you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, and that's fine. What I'm talking about right now is the fact that when you reach out to people and when you introduce yourself to people, not everyone's going to respond. Not everyone's going to like what you had to say. Not everyone wants to meet you. And so if you go into the process of introducing yourself and reaching out to people and applying for things, and if you know that 99 out of the 100 things that you apply for, the people that you try to meet or the person you try to get to mentor you, if it's not going to succeed, that as you work your way down the list of like, this is disappointment right here. This is disappointment and rejection over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. But if you go into the mindset of like, and that's fine. So about 16 years ago, 16, 17, 18 years ago, I started this, like meeting people, reaching out to people, sending my 5-sentence messages, doing that stuff. And a lot of people didn't respond. And I was like, okay. But what happens is when you get, let's say you get to 57 and you get a response from somebody. Do you know what happens to you? It's like all this pain and disappointment just disappears. It really does. Like all all that stuff, and you're like, oh, someone wrote me back. Yes, yes. And it's almost like you had to go through all that stuff to get to that one response. So if you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, I don't know what we're doing, I don't know why you're even covering this today. Maybe some of you do. Maybe you're getting this, and what I'm trying to say is, when you document all the people you reach out to, when you document your job hunt, when you document all this stuff, when you look at it, am I even down to 100 yet? I'm not. Like if you go over here, this is where 100 is. And if I was this person job hunting and I'd look through all these things, where should I start feeling disappointed? Where should I start feeling like this isn't going to work out for me? You can start feeling that around here. Like if you really wanted to be disappointed, if you really wanted to feel rejected, if you really wanted to be depressed about this whole job hunt process, then around here you can definitely start to feel that. Totally get that. But until then, you're doing fine. You're doing fine. If you've ever heard me on this live stream before, I talk about I work in marketing. And can anyone, if you want to throw in the live chat right now, what do you think my success rate is? So if I was to send out 100 emails to people who signed up for my email list, like people who said, Jason, I want to be on your email list. And I sent out 100 emails to people who wanted to be on my email list. Let me know how many percent of those people you think will actually open the email. So the first question I'm going to ask you is how many people actually open the email that I sent? So if I send 100 of them to people who wanted my email, how many of them will actually open it? So go ahead and throw in the Twitch chat now. What percentage do you think that is of people who will open the email just to read it? All right, so B. Molly said 20 to 30% open, 15 opens, Shkowski. So it's anywhere between, and you're pretty accurate, it's anywhere between 15 to 30% of people who wanted the email. And then B. Molly said 3% click-through. So if you've been on this live stream before, 3% click-through is what the Black Hills mailing list is, 3%. And so if you're like, really? 3%? Yeah, 3%. Of people who wanted to be on the email list, 3%. So if you are job hunting, what are you doing? You're marketing your skills and your abilities to companies that could hire you to provide a service. You're marketing. And so for every 100 emails you send out, what's your open rate? 15 to 30%. And from that, 1 to 3% success rate of people actually clicking things. And so when you're job hunting, and this happens a lot, you want like a 75 to 90% success rate. And anything less than 75 to 90%, like it just brings you the sense of rejection and disappointment and just sadness and depression. Like I work in marketing. I had to get over that 97% failure rate pretty quickly because I'm like, 3%, yes! Because 3% of 10,000 is pretty good. 3% of 100,000 is pretty good. 3% of 100. What about if the person chooses to hire me out of 100 and they offer me $100,000 year salary, then like out of my 100 emails I sent out, then that's a pretty good return on investment. So I'm not saying that that's what you're going to get, but I want you to just maybe shift the mindset here for this job hunting thing to not be, I need a 75 to 90% success rate for every single email and every single resume that I send out, to 3% would be amazing. Now let's improve your odds though. Let's improve your odds. So to improve your odds, we're going to talk about the other steps of job hunting today. So I know I'm 24 minutes into the live stream, but I wanted to cover documenting as you go and keeping track of all this information. I wanted to talk about rejection and disappointment to get started with today, and I wanted to just start with that. So I'm going to do a full job hunt for one of the viewers today. The very first person to put the job title and a city, state, or country into the Twitch chat, I will do a job hunt for that viewer. And then the rest of you can spectate, watch, play along at home, because all the same things I'm going to do for that one person, you can do for yourself, and then feel free to ask questions at any time. I also saw a question up earlier, and I was ranting a little bit, so I just wanted to make sure I went back. It says, Jason, I have a question. If we get a call from a company saying we are looking for someone who can join immediately or in 1 month time, how do we answer if official notice period is 2 months? So if your official notice period is 2 months, then tell them you're going to be 2 months. So whenever I've gotten new jobs, I generally had a job. And so at my last job, I was working at the SANS Institute when John Strand wanted to hire me. There was things I wanted to finish. There was things I wanted to complete. I had been working on a series of things for the SANS Institute. And when John's like, hey, I'd like you to come work for me, I was like, I would love to come work for you, but I'm going to have to wait at least 2 months. And he's like, really? And I was like, yeah, like I've made commitments. There's things I want to do, and I want to make sure that I see that through. And so I did that. Now I gave a 2 weeks notice, but I took 2 months. So for 2 months I knew I was leaving, and so I made sure that I was starting to close all my loose ends and got things finalized. So my answer to you, Menaz Anjum, and I don't know if I'm saying that right, is that if a company wants you to come work for them, they'll wait. And if they're not willing to wait, then they wanted a body, they didn't want you. So that's my answer to that question. Ox Machina says, combine that with you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. That is correct. What are you doing? Yes, that happens. And then we're down here to... All right. Jacqueline. Jacqueline says, cybersecurity, San Francisco, BS in business, but no technical experience yet. AS and computer networking. Cool. I've had the exact same experience, told my prospective employer that I need a longer time. Once approved, I gave 6 weeks notice to my current employer to get my replacement in and train. Cool. All right, Jacqueline, let me just remind me if that is Jacqueline, because I think it is, but I had a lot of sugar in I made fruit juice from scratch. Like I have a juicer that I don't get out that often, but I don't know, like 2 or 3 years ago, I felt the need to buy a juicer, and I did, and then I started buying all this fruit and then juicing it, and then the problem with it was that I was juicing it, but it took a long time to like prep, and then it was easier just to go to the store and buy juice. So anyway, I made some juice through the juicer, and then I drank it, but I've been on like this sugar-free diet for like quite some time, and so I drank this fruit juice that like all of a sudden my sugar's through the roof, and like the screen's a little blurry. Well, that's fine. Okay. So cybersecurity, currently in San Francisco. I have experience in the hospitality industry for 11 years. Decided to change fields in cybersecurity. Thanks for all the additional information. Thanks for this video. I got my first job in cyber. I start Monday. DDIP 214. Are we ringing the bell for you, DDIP 214? Is that like why you're here? You wanted to... that's awesome. And DDIP, I don't know if you're the same... I don't know if DDIP stands for like the name that I saw on LinkedIn today that landed a new job. Because there was like started with a D, and I think the last name started with a D. But if that's not you, that's totally fine. But let me know if we can ring the bell for you, and you would be number 57 if we can count you as one of the 57 viewers that have landed a job. And I pronounced it right? That's fantastic. I don't think I'll be able to do it now, because now I'm going to think about it too hard. All right, so obtaining an AS in computer networking information technology, including certification. All right, so everybody, if you're new to this live stream, and you're like, what was that rant you just went on? Well, if you're new, then you probably haven't seen like the part 1 and part 2 and part 3 and part 4. And now you're watching part 5. And so now you're like, I think he just jumped right into a whole bunch of things. And yeah, there is a part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. And I got to re-record part 3 because part 3, that thing got deleted. I liked the video, but I don't know, it didn't work out. Feel free to ignore, but what are your thoughts on the SANS master's degree for someone who's been in the industry for a few years, weighing doing that in the next 1 to 2 years versus an MBA? So as someone who's very familiar with the SANS master's degree program, it's phenomenal. Like as far as being a practitioner, tactician, like it is the best cybersecurity master's degree there is. That's just the answer I'm going to give. It's the best. Okay. Kadawi says, way to go. Congratulations, D-Dip. That's fantastic. All right, Jacqueline. We're going to do a job hunt for you. I got to remember what was the actual job hunt. So cybersecurity. It was cyber. Is there a title? Cybersecurity. You just want cybersecurity? So Jacqueline, do you have an actual title that you're looking for? Everybody can see my recent search histories. Just waiting for an answer here from Jacqueline. There's a delay. I wonder what happens if I just type cybersecurity. All right, cybersecurity internship. Cool. Also, I don't recommend with your level of experience that you go for an internship. I don't, just because you have a ton of knowledge. But if you're in school right now, like maybe do an internship. Like if you don't need to make money, then an internship would be cool. Like you might be able to find an internship that makes money, because there's a lot of people that do pay. So right now I just typed in cybersecurity internship, and right now there's 1,030 results in the United States that have the word cybersecurity and internship in it. Someone told me that I won't get an entry level. Yeah. So Jacqueline, we're gonna work on that, because I disagree with that someone who told you that you won't get an entry level job. And I'm gonna skip the job hunt real quick for you, Jacqueline, and we're gonna talk about something. If you're in San Francisco, have you ever heard of B-Side San Francisco? So Jacqueline, have you ever heard of B-Side San Francisco? So let me know in the Twitch chat. B-Side San Francisco. No. All right. So the first thing I want you to do, and I'm going to drop this link in here for you, is for everyone watching right now, if you're trying to get an entry-level job in the cybersecurity industry, what Jacqueline has been told is that without your experience, you're not going to be able to get a job. And I'm like, yeah, that's crap. The reason why that's crap is because that didn't work for them, because they went some traditional route, and I'm not a traditional route kind of person. I'm more of a, like, how can I hack my way into an organization, instead of like, hello, gatekeepers and barrier guards. Like, how will you let me in if I play by your rules? Like, I'm not a play by the rules kind of job hunter. I'm definitely, and B-Sides are everywhere. So every major city, there's a B-Sides organization. Definitely check out B-Sides. But Jacqueline, here's what we're going to do right now. So check this out. I want you to look up B-Side San Francisco, and it's coming up. It is like literally this weekend. And so you're going to go to B-Side San Francisco if you have these days free, and I really hope you do. If you can participate in the CTF, go to the villages, whatever the case is, like participate in B-Side San Francisco. So what B-Sides is, just to give everyone, if you're watching right now and you're in marketing, if you're watching, you're in management, if you're watching and you're in like manufacturing or any other industries, this goes for you too. So there's going to be organizations inside, there's going to be like trade organizations, like I'm in marketing. So since I'm in marketing, I would do a search for the AMA and then Baltimore. So AMA is I live in Baltimore. So if I did a search for the AMA Baltimore, it is the America's Marketing Association. So this is my local trade group. So if I wanted to, I would type in AMA like San Francisco, and then that would give me my group in San Francisco. So there's going to be the same type of thing, but now it's for San Francisco. And I would look through here and I would see names and upcoming like stuff. And here's an event. So regardless of what industry you're in, you'll always be able to find a local trade organization where you can introduce yourself, meet people. So Jacqueline, we're going to hack your way into the cybersecurity industry by skipping through a bunch of things, by you going to B-Side San Francisco over the weekend. Now, they're going to live stream from their YouTube channel, so you're going to watch, but if they have a subreddit, you're going to join the subreddit. This is totally free. Any opportunity they have to connect. So if they say, here's our, like, if there's people start posting to the LinkedIn profiles, go to them, say, hey, I see your information from B-Side San Francisco. Like, whatever you can do to meet with people. If you can participate in the CTF, I would say recommend participating in the CTF. This is a capture the flag. This is an opportunity to practice and do things. And most likely at the very beginning of B-Side San Francisco, they're going to say, like, the CTF opens at this time. This is how it's going to happen. And there's going to be an opportunity to build teams. And so jump on a team. Even though you may not have, like, intense cybersecurity, like qualifications and skills, you might be able to do recon, or you might be able to like look through logs, or you might be able to do something else. And then your background, like who you are, you're going to look at challenges differently than the other people on your team. And so you might be able to like, well, what about this? And they're like, well, oh, yeah, actually, I think that would work. So to give you a for instance, I was helping to facilitate a hacking competition many years ago. And we had a group from a 3-letter agency that I can't talk about. And so that 3-letter government agency had a group that was there, and I know these people, and I know which 3-letter agency that they work for. And then there was a group from college. So there was a bunch of college students that were there. The 3-letter agency people spent about 2 hours working on this one problem. So they're in a CTF, they're working on this one problem. And they put the amount of effort into this one problem. Let's say the problem needed this much effort. Well, they put this much effort into solving the problem. They were writing like custom tools and developing their own like coding language or something to try to solve it. The college team over here solved it like by putting that much effort into it because they're used to doing CTFs and they're used to those types of questions. And so they passed and they like blew past this 3-letter agency that does this for a living. And so they ended up, I think they won. And the reason why I tell you the story is because they just thought about the question differently than the people who had been doing this their entire lives. And so sometimes people coming in with a fresh perspective, or someone who's in school goes, oh, I just learned that in class, or what if we tried this and it works? Okay, so we got a schedule here. You can take a look at the schedule. Please go to this. Now, we're going to keep hacking, right? We're going to keep hacking, so I wanted to show you this. So you're going to right-click, Jacqueline. You're going to go over to their Twitter account. And here, this is a tip for all of you job hunting right now. If you want to meet the people in your industry, in your area, go to the Twitter account for the organization. So we have the AMA like San Francisco over here. All right, I'm going to show you that it works for marketing the same way it works for cybersecurity. So I'm going to go over here to the AMA. They're following 3,678 people. They're followed by 3,724. This cybersecurity account follows 371, followed by 4,379. So the tip is, who do you think this organization would follow? People in cybersecurity in San Francisco. So if you ever go to an organization's Twitter account and then you look at who they choose to follow and you start scrolling through their list, it's the people who influence them. So right now we have the Senior Director of Curriculum and Strategy at Pluralsight. And you're like, who is Megan? And the really nice thing when someone gives their full name, sorry, I clicked on the wrong thing. Clicked on the wrong thing again. All right, so we got Megan here. And the nicest thing about when someone uses their full name on Twitter, and you can go over and she says she's in San Francisco. She's at Pluralsight. She joined September 12th. She hasn't tweeted since 2015, but the last time she tweeted was about B-Side San Francisco. But if you take a look at her likes, she hasn't liked anything since 2018. So we're good to know now that she's not really using Twitter. But that's fine, because I'm going to take this name right over here, and then I'm going to go back over here, and then I'm going to click and have a brand new LinkedIn profile over here. And Jacqueline, what are we doing right now? We're looking for cybersecurity entry-level jobs in San Francisco. And this has, so far, we haven't looked for jobs, have we? We have not. We're looking for the people who offer jobs, because people who offer jobs is way better than the jobs themselves. So we have Head of Operations and Security Skills at Pluralsight. Nice to meet you, Megan. It's the same Megan that we found over here. How did we find Megan? Well, we found Megan by looking at the people that B-Side San Francisco choose to follow, and then we just clicked on one of them that had their name available. We found Pluralsight, so if you wanted to, we're the tech workforce development company that helps build teams better, products by knowing more and more. All right, so we're going to take a look at this here in a second. So we got Megan, and her messages are locked, so if you wanted to send Megan a message on LinkedIn, you would need to use an in-mail, and that is something that you pay for. It's like a credit. You get an in-mail credit, and then you can send a message. If they don't respond to you, I think it's in 7 days, then you get your credit back, and now you can send a message to someone else. Now, what are we doing today? We are focused on keeping track of all this information. So if you're like, well, I just found about Pluralsight. I didn't know this existed. And I have found Megan. So this is what it looks like to put all this into practice. So we got Megan over here is my point of contact so far. And who is Megan? Well, she's also the head of operations for Pluralsight. So I'm just going to take that. I'm going to drop this in over here. And then I'm going to go back over and I want to keep track of her LinkedIn. Well, that's Andrew. That's not Megan. So I'm going to keep track of this and then go back over here, drop this in. And then if you wanted to send a message to Megan, you could by sending a message right here. We can also look at contact information to see if there's a message here that you could potentially use. And then we're going to take a look at one more thing before we send a message. We're going to look down here at Megan's activity. So if I look at Megan's activity here on LinkedIn, we're going to see all the things that she's been doing recently. So as 3 weeks ago, we had the head of curriculum at CodePath, Mike Woodring, and then Megan commented saying, "Congrats, Mike." Okay. So there's another post by same Mike Woodring. So pretty much she only responds to Mike Woodring. But if we go over here and take a look at her post, 1 year ago, she was looking for a curriculum manager. She was hiring for this position a year ago. So for the most part, Megan does not use LinkedIn that often. She did use it 3 weeks ago, so if you were to send Megan a message on LinkedIn, there's a good chance that she's not going to see it. But we just learned that Pluralsight is a company inside San Francisco. So what does Pluralsight do? So let's go ahead and right-click on Pluralsight, bring them up as a LinkedIn post here. And we're going to learn a little bit about Pluralsight. So Jacqueline, let me know if you're tracking what I'm doing right now. We're not job hunting for cybersecurity internships. We're trying to find out what cybersecurity world exists in San Francisco and who are the people and how can I get connected with them and how can I get plugged in with them and how can I become a part of this cybersecurity community that is in San Francisco that I could potentially use to find a job. Now, if you're watching and spectating, do this for your own city. If you're in marketing, find the organization in your city. If you're in cybersecurity, find the B-sides in your area. Whatever the case is, like hopefully you're playing along and like, oh, I didn't know this existed. There's B-sides Tampa, and there's B-sides DC, or there's B-sides Minneapolis, or there's B-sides Las Vegas, or there's the AMA Houston, or like you're starting to look like what is available for my industry in my town, and you're doing a search for that. And then once you do a search for that, I'm a huge fan of just using the Twitter accounts to start seeing, because like right now I could keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. Like, well, who does Megan follow? And then who does Megan follow? And that's why this is like a treasure trove of information. But if you're not keeping track of it, all of a sudden you're going to be so far down the rabbit hole that you're like, what the hell? Just like 4 hours later, like, oh, what happened? I remember I like found Megan, and then like I'm just like over here now. Like, it's anytime you've ever gone to look at Wikipedia and you're like, yeah, let me look up something on Wikipedia, and then 17 hours later you're like, now I know the full history of why Napoleon Bonaparte was the person, and then how that led to the Bolshevik Revolution, and then like, oh God, I didn't realize that is the formation of how Israel. Like all that is. And so someone asked me a really good question the other day. How do you not rabbit hole too deep? I was like, oh, that's a really good question. So here, let me help you not go down the rabbit hole too deep. And I'm going to use this plant over here as an example. This plant grows one leaf. It grows one leaf, and then from that, another leaf grows from it. And that's the way this works. Another leaf does not grow off of this second leaf. This one will grow more leaves, and then that's what happens. It doesn't grow an additional leaf off of the second one. So when you're like going down a rabbit trail, if I was to go back to B-side San Francisco as the original leaf, okay, and Megan is the one leaf that goes off of it. And so Megan is my one leaf, and Pluralsight is a part of that. But if I want to keep hunting, I'm going to go back to the original leaf and then branch off of that again. I'm not going to branch off of what I start finding with Megan. Hopefully that makes sense, is that if I want to not go too deep and just lose what the heck I'm trying to accomplish, I would go back to B-side San Francisco once I get done exploring this thing with Megan and Pluralsight. Okay, so we got Megan over here, we got Megan's activity feed, and then we got Pluralsight, and I'm like, what does Pluralsight do? We're the tech workforce development company that helps build teams better products. Okay, well, what does that mean? I've talked about in this live stream before, whenever you find a video, watch it. Anytime a company posts a video to their LinkedIn profile, even if it's 2 minutes or 2 hours long and you want to work there, watch it. Because you're going to learn a lot. This is a 1 hour long video, and I'm pretty sure you're going to learn a lot about their organization and the people that work there by clicking and watching their videos. Now, they might have other videos. I don't know if you need to watch all of them, but definitely watch them. All right, if we go down here to jobs, let's take a look at jobs. So I'm going to right click on Pluralsight and say new tab here. And Nox Machina said, might seem overkill, but here's a browser with built-in OSINT documentation. That's awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. All right, so I'm over here with jobs right now, and if I type in the word security, it's going to give me every single job that has the word security in the job description. So now I have all these. You could be the head of information security at Pluralsight. That's hiring in Oregon, because right now it's every single job at Pluralsight, not just in San Francisco. So if you wanted to, you could always dial that back to San Francisco, but right now it's giving you every single. There's a lot of security jobs at Pluralsight. So we got a security engineer here in Draper, Utah. We got Oregon. This is remote. So if you wanted to, you could always go over here to all filters and say the past week. I don't do experience level. The reason why I don't care about experience level when it comes to job hunting websites is because it has to rely on the human being who's actually posting the job to understand the experience level. And if they don't, then it just leads you to nothing but heartbreak of doing searches for entry-level jobs and finding nothing but like senior or people that require 5 to 10 years of experience. And you're like, why? Why are you like this? And you're like, well, yeah. So don't rely on, just look up all the jobs. But if you wanted to, you could click here for remote, and then it would tell you all the remote positions available at Pluralsight at this given time. And you would see these are all the different jobs available at Pluralsight at this given time. Okay. I just talked a lot. All right, so let's say you're not ready to get a job at Pluralsight, but you would like to talk to someone about getting a job at Pluralsight. So if you click over here on people and you type in recruiter, then you would find every single person that's a recruiter. Now, for those of you that are in college, like Jacqueline, you're like, hey, I'm in school. Like, remind me, Jacqueline, are you in school? And if you're in school, I have another tip for you. But if you're in school, let me know. But if you're not in school, that's totally fine too. But if you click on recruiter, these are all the people who fill positions at jobs. Like, this is Shay here. Well, she's a senior sales recruiter, so she hires salespeople. We got a corporate recruiter, so this is a person who works at corporate, not necessarily on projects. We got a senior talent acquisition partner. We got a recruiter. We got a recruiting leader, movie lover, apparently. Nice. Thanks, Danny. Senior recruiter, Pluralsight, connecting awesome people with awesome careers. Liz, that's fantastic. Let's meet you next. All right, so we got Liz here. Right click, new tab. Graduating this semester, but I already have a BS in business. Cool. Says, awesome, Jason, watching videos to know more about company and people there. Yep. Cool, thanks. All right, so we got Liz here who likes to, Salt Lake City. So unfortunately, it's not in San Francisco, but that's fine. Because here's what's nice about Liz. Liz just has her messages open. So if you were interested in working at Pluralsight or getting to know what it would be like to work at Pluralsight, or, hey Liz, just checking to see if you have any entry-level positions available at Pluralsight for cybersecurity positions, this might be the way to go. So back to the very beginning. Hi, my name is Jack Line, and I would like to introduce myself. And then if you haven't been on the live stream before, I follow 4 sentences or 5 sentences essentially for almost every time I reach out to someone for the first time. And it would look like this. Why I am reaching out. Number 2 is who am I? Number 3 is why I care about you. About you, the org or the position. Number 4 is what I am asking for. And number 5 is how to reach me. So whenever I send out a message to anybody, these are the standard 5 sentences I use just to keep myself from rambling on or talking about whatever else. And so Jacqueline, your message would look like, I'm reaching out. Liz, the reason I'm reaching out today. So Liz, the reason I am reaching out today is because I see you connect awesome people with awesome careers at Pluralsight, and I am an awesome person looking for an awesome career. And then second sentence is, you can even go to another, like, my name is Jacqueline, and I am graduating in this semester with, and I, like with, you know, whatever the degree, and I already have a BS in business. And I'm looking for entry-level cybersecurity positions. And then you would say something like, I am new at all this and looking to learn more about the hiring, more about what it would be like to work at Pluralsight. And then what you're asking for is, would it be possible? It'd be possible to talk with you for 10 to 15 minutes to introduce myself and learn more about how you hire. And then I can be reached anytime, day or night, through LinkedIn. All right, so I would fix all the typos for sure. All right, so I wish recruiters that reach out to me follow this pattern. Yes, Ben Howerson. Graduating this semester. Baconator said, I tried this out last week and was surprised someone responded and actually called. This even led to a malware analysis demo. Funny way to start the conversation that you aren't a bot, though. Yeah, nice. All right, so we got this. Liz, the reason I'm reaching out today is because I see you connect awesome people with awesome careers at Pluralsight Careers, and I am an awesome person looking for an awesome career. My name is Jacqueline. I'm graduating this semester. So I would go through, clean this up, you know, maybe revise it, read over it one more time. And then just a tip for everyone right now, whenever I send a message to anybody, and this is a tip for you or whenever you're doing this, read it out loud to yourself before you send it. So a rule of thumb for me before I ever send a message, before I ever reach out to anyone, is I go, and I say like, very like, Liz, the reason I am reaching out. There we go. I missed it. The reason I am reaching out today is because I see you connect awesome people with awesome careers at Pluralsight, and I am an awesome person looking for an awesome career. So question, should I update my LinkedIn profile before contact? My profile is all about hospitality, including my resume. Yes, but give yourself a deadline for when you're going to update your LinkedIn profile. Like, don't like put off this part because you want everything to be perfect. Like, if we go back to that whole, like, well, 99 out of 100 people aren't even going to look at your LinkedIn profile. The one that does, that person matters. But I don't want you to wait for things to be perfect to get started. I want you to get started and then make things better as time goes on. Does that make sense? The best advice I ever got for writing. So there's a guy out there named Brian K. Vaughan, and I highly recommend you check out his work. He's probably the best writer in comic books. He wrote a book called Why the Last Man that will be one of your favorite TV shows on FX soon once they make it. So they're making it right now. It's an incredible book by Brian K. Vaughan. But the advice he gave to new writers was publish as soon as possible, because nothing will make you a better writer than knowing people are reading your crappy writing. And I was like, that's so good. Publish as soon as possible, because nothing will make you a better writer than knowing people are reading your crappy writing. And that goes the same for your LinkedIn profile, your resume, whatever the case is. Like, send it. Because as soon as you send it, you're like, I could have made it better. But if you're making it better to send, you'll never finish. So, and what I mean by you never finish, because it could always be better. But once you send it, then you'll instantly know what you could have improved on. And it's okay to like if I had, you know what I don't have over here? The date of the hunt. So let's say I reached out to Atlassian, let's say it was last year. So what was the date of first contact? Was 9/1. So if I was doing the hunt on 9/1 and I did the hunt over here at Atlassian, when can I apply again? Like, how much longer? If I applied, didn't hear back, sent messages, didn't hear back, sent a resume, didn't hear back, all that stuff. If I went through the whole process of applying for a job and I didn't hear back, how long should I wait before I apply again? You can answer in the Twitch chat. It's not a rhetorical question. How long should I wait before I revise my resume, make it better, reach out to new people, reach out to the same person? How long should I wait? Anybody? You don't know, do you? How long should you wait? Does it matter? 6 months? 2 months? 2 weeks? Like, right. Nobody knows. I don't know. Like, I don't know the answer to this. Like, if you applied to Atlassian and then you took this, let's call this a workshop. You took this workshop and you went back and looked at the way you built your resume, looked at the way you reached out to people, looked at all this, and you're like, oh, crap. Oh, I could have done this way better. And let me go ahead and revise my resume. I'm going to tailor it to the actual job description. I'm going to reverse engineer it. I'm going to update my LinkedIn. I'm going to apply again. How long should you wait? I've never actually reapplied for the same or similar position after being rejected for it. So maybe the one thing that you take away from today is that if you have a list of people that haven't gotten back to you or haven't responded, start back at the top. You start back at the top of that list and you apply again. You make that resume better. You improve your cover letter. You reach out to different people, or maybe you reach out to the same person and you write a better message this time. And I don't know what a better message looks like, right? Like, you don't know what a better message. You just write a new message and see if it works this time. And it's not in a harassing way. It's not in a way of like you're just trying to like brute force your way. It's like you're like, after careful consideration, after a thoughtful process, I have decided that what I sent you before wasn't my best. And so I've improved it. I took a workshop, I made things better, and now I'm sending it to you again. Only thing I know so far is that what didn't work, correct, B-Mully. The only thing you know so far is that what you did before did not work. And so if you do something different this time, maybe it works this time. And if it doesn't work this time, well, you tried. Okay. All right. Where were we? We were with Megan over here, and then we went to Pluralsight, and then we sent a message. Jacqueline, all this makes sense so far? I know you said you're taking notes, but for everyone watching, does this make sense so far? Is this weird? Do you have questions? Because we're at the 1 hour mark right now, and I just want to check in with everybody and double check. Okay, so to recap where we are, we're doing a job hunt right now for Jacqueline, who goes by EZARANTGUI0209. So we're doing a job hunt for her in San Francisco for cybersecurity, and it's an entry-level job. And I think it's she. Like, I never know. So they say, you can let me know. They said they were told they won't be able to get an entry-level position because they have no experience. And then I said, that's crap. And the reason why I believe that's crap is because those people who couldn't get an entry-level position without experience didn't do the stuff that I'm talking about right now. And so they're giving you they're projecting onto you their own, like, it didn't work for me, so it's not going to work for you. Now, what I'm projecting on you is that it did work for me and it could work for you. So you have to make sure you balance, like, I'm the, like, yes, we can make this work. You can hack your way in. With their, like, it's never going to work, you'll never get a job. So there's somewhere in between, right, that is going to be your experience. So I'm not saying, like, you're going to have my experience of hacking your way in, and you're not going to have this person's experience of, like, no, it's never going to happen for you. And that's my impression of this person. I am impersonating them. So, no, you can't get in. And I'm like, yay, this is going to work out. What we're doing now is, instead of looking for jobs, because we're not doing that. We're not looking for jobs. We're looking for people. Because people are who give jobs. People give jobs. And so what we did is we found B-side San Francisco, because Jacqueline is in B-side, or is in San Francisco, looking for jobs in San Francisco. And I said there is a local trade organization. All industries have a local trade organization where people get together, they discuss things, they meet, they share ideas, they exchange ideas. And it's for business purposes. They exchange business cards if we still did that. They would shake hands if we still did that. They would talk in person if we still did that. But they meet, and so most likely they're meeting virtually. But I went over to B-Side San Francisco Twitter account because I love Twitter accounts. This is where I can do this. And kiddo, you can't play with the dog down here. Are you making a lunch? Okay. All right, so Susie, my daughter, if you've ever been a part of this live stream before, the fact that she tries to stay quiet causes her to laugh. And the more she tries to stay quiet, the more she laughs, because, like, the tension builds up, and so she starts to giggle. And so she can't not giggle by trying to be quiet. And the fact that I'm talking about her right now means she's giggling like crazy on the other side of the monitor, and she can't help herself. I was at DerbyCon a few years ago, and I was doing stand-up comedy. And so I told my daughter, I was like, I bet I can get you to laugh in the next 5 seconds. And so all I did was like, and by the time I got to 5, she laughed because she couldn't take the stress or the tension, so she laughed. All right, yes, Deb the Deb said like a monster. All right, so if we go to B-Side San Francisco here and we take a look at who they follow, it goes, like, if you follow the thought process, like, well, who would B-Side San Francisco choose to follow? It would be people in San Francisco that have something to do with the cybersecurity industry. And that's what we did. We went here, and I just found this first person. We got Benjamin Herring here. He's a security tinkerer. Look, it's the next person. So Jacqueline, look at this list. It is a treasure trove of who does cybersecurity in San Francisco that you can introduce yourself to. So we got Benjamin Herring here, and they are a SANS Institute community mentor. Do you know what that means? They like to share their knowledge. They work for the SANS Institute. They like to share their knowledge. And if I was to go over here and just type in same thing, Benjamin Herring, And then they're going to show up. There we go. Senior staff, security architect at ASAAPP. APP. And we have this person here. Their messages are locked, but you can always take a look and see if they're actually using their activity. And so if we go over here and take a look at Benjamin's activity, we can see that he posted this a week ago. Yep. And this is a job post. So it's a job post here and a job post here. Now, Jacqueline, if you ever find someone that you find on LinkedIn and you take a look at their activity and they post a job post and it's not the right job post for you, that's totally fine because you can respond like this. Benjamin, I don't think I am the right fit for this position, but if you know of any entry-level cybersecurity roles available, I would love to chat about those with you. Or if you did, you could say something like, Benjamin, I'm not sure if I'd be a right fit for this, but or Benjamin, I'm looking for entry-level cybersecurity positions. Do you know of any in your organization? The cat, yeah. Hey, kitty, kitty. So a note for everybody right now that if you ever see someone post a job description or a job post on LinkedIn, you can always comment on their job post that you're not the right fit for that job, but you would love to talk about how you might be the right fit for something else. So that's Benjamin over here. And if you didn't know, if you ever find somebody, we go back over here to the right-hand side, you will find the other people that work there. So we have the Chief Security and Trust Officer, we got Director of Technical Project Management, we got the CISO here of like Paul Valenti, we have a Senior Security Engineer Manager. So you can find the other people that work there. Now, what did we do? Remember I talked about the running down the rabbit trail? So instead of like branching off of Megan and Pluralsight, I went back to B-Side San Francisco. That's because that's what got us started in the first place. I went back to B-Side San Francisco, and now I'm branching off of that. So that way I'm not too far down the rabbit trail of what I wanted to get started with. Now if we got here, we got other people, Field Security CTO at this. Now the last tip I'm going to give you, like first of all, you're going to find a ton of like, the OWASP Bay Area. You're going to find other, like the Tool Group for San Francisco. You'll find other trade organizations, WISP, Women in Security and Privacy, B-Sides San Diego, B-Sides Canberra. There's going to be DEF CON groups. There's going to be other San Francisco groups. But the one tip I want to leave you with before we go, and if you've been a part of this live stream before, then you know this, is that if you scroll all the way down to the very first couple of people that an account ever chooses to follow, you're going to get to meet the crew, essentially, like the most influential people to the people who created this account. So we have Amber, Fiona here, we have Iva, Ian, Jack Daniel, Mike. So we got Edit the Industry, FinTech Native, Stripe Security B-Sides founder. So we got Mike D here, we got Security B-Sides, B-Sides Las Vegas, B-Sides LA, B-Sides Kelly Hay. Interesting. Jennifer Liego. So Jennifer, I believe she's in San Francisco and she does marketing for stuff, but she is definitely in the cybersecurity industry. So if I was to go over here, back, do a search, and then I'm pretty sure that you'll meet the company that she works for, which is a San Francisco, New York company. She's the Chief Marketing Officer at Clarity. All right. So I'm going to close these, and we're going to stop for a second. So Jacqueline, entry-level San Francisco jobs is what we are looking for right now. And the way that I would do a search for that is to start finding the people who do cybersecurity in San Francisco, to start finding mentors or find someone that can introduce you to others or can say, hey, Jacqueline, if I was you, I would take a look at this company or this company. Or if you haven't thought about, do you have your Sec Plus? And you're like, well, I don't have that yet. And you're like, well, if you had your Sec Plus, then I know of at least 3 or 4 companies that are hiring. Like, just by talking to the people in your area and getting to know them or to introduce yourself to them would give you an opportunity to start finding those entry-level positions. Now, one other thing is if I go over here and I click on what B-Side San Francisco is liking, then like I just found the IoT Village. I found Ron Twist here, who's a person who's volunteered a year ago. We have Clint here, who's giving a talk at B-Side San Francisco. So now you can introduce yourself to a speaker. And so we just found the head of security research at RC2Dev. Okay. So this is a other company in San Francisco. They're improving software security and reliability. And we just found another organization that you could potentially work for by going here. Now they have a Twitter account and they have a GitHub and all that stuff. But if we scroll all the way down to the bottom, they might have to write us about a security issue. Do they have team, blog, pricing, questions? Let's take a look at the team. All right, what can I? Interesting. All right, so our mission is, man, I love when there's names. When there's names, you're like, this is great. So we got Drew Dennison over here is the CTO. Once again, you go back over, Drew Dennison, CTO at this company. You're like, hello, Drew Dennison. It's very nice to meet you. And their messages are open. So if you wanted to, you could reach out to the CTO of this company, R2C. And Jacqueline, the one thing for you too is that you don't want to work at these companies. Like you might want to work at r2c.dev. But right now it's just about learning. It's about meeting people and introducing yourself and doing it in a way that's simple. But if we go back to that original thing where it says 99 out of 100 people that you introduce yourself to won't respond, then you have to introduce yourself to 100 people to get that one response. So if you go into this knowing that Drew won't respond to you, then there's really no disappointment when Drew doesn't respond to you. But if you do reach out to Drew, then what are you going to do? So R2C Dev, I would go down here, add this to my list of R2C Dev, and then this would be a new person that I found, and it would be Drew Dennison. And what do they do? Does everyone see why keeping track of this stuff is important? Because I'm pretty sure I would lose all this at some point if I wasn't keeping track of it. And I'm almost doing this quickly today to show you how difficult it is to keep track of everything if you're not keeping track of everything. Because it's just like, there's a ton of stuff I can find. There's all these jobs I didn't know existed. So let's go back to this website. Where is it? Over here? Pluralsight? Nope. It is this one right here. I'm looking to see if they have jobs. So we have a research scientist, Christian here, more people. We got investors. How do I get a job here? Maybe I just send a hello message. Because right now, maybe they're not hiring. They already have their whole team. And that's okay. Oh, they got a Twitter account? You know what happens when I find a Twitter account? Oh, that's a LinkedIn account. It's LinkedIn. Click on contact information. Oh, now we have a Twitter account. There we go. So I got this guy, Jonathan Wiritz. And Jonathan is a what? Security leadership. I clicked on it without even knowing. That's awesome. Head of information security at Fitbit. Oh, look who we just found. Now this was an accident. We just found the head of information security at Fitbit. That's cool. So why did we find them? Let's go over here. In 5 minutes, my team was able to write a rule that finds all okay. I just clicked on things because I saw it. We have the head of information security at Fitbit for sure. Yep. And so now we just found this person at Fitbit, and their messages are open. Holy, normally I don't find this many people. Jacqueline, are you watching? Jacqueline, you there? Jacqueline, send that message. Send this message to Jonathan Wirt and say, hello, Jonathan, my name is, I see that you're the security, like head of information security at Fitbit. And my name is Jacqueline. I'm getting ready to graduate with, I already have a BS in business, and I am just looking to meet and network here in San Francisco with other information security professionals. Would it be possible to meet with you for 10 to 15 minutes to find out how you got to where you are in your career? And what advice would you have for someone like me just getting ready to graduate and start my career in this industry that I'm very passionate about? You can reach me anytime here on LinkedIn. And there you go. I will take a look at his activity. I always take a look at everyone's activity before I send a message, because if that person hasn't messaged or done anything on LinkedIn in quite some time, then they're... So 2 weeks ago, so between now and 2 weeks ago, this person liked this message. And this is the recruiting lead at Blanchard Technologies. So all of a sudden you're like, well, what's Blanchard? Do you see how the rabbit trail can go real quick, which is why you have to like go back to the original? But if you're like, forget that, Jason, I'm just running right now. I'm going to run. I'm going to find all this stuff. So I got Michelle over here. We got Blanchard Technologies. Is that based in, so it's not in, it's in New York. So you would have to like, is this really someplace I want to look and pursue? But if you do, here's all the people who offer jobs at Blanchard Technologies. Okay. So we're back over here looking at, so within a week, so Jonathan does use LinkedIn. So if you were to send a message on LinkedIn, there's a good chance. Ooh, what's this? Formerly known as the Secure CIO podcast. We have rebranded. So celebrate it. So here's a podcast that you can listen to about security. So we have the product security at Hashtag Corp. So there's another potential companies. We have the Chief Information Security Officer at Afterpay. And we're growing. Come work with Dean. Afterpay is growing and need great security people. So this was posted 2 weeks ago. You just found a senior detection and response engineer for Afterpay. And then thanks to Stripe, Climate, all right. Modern Security Cloud. So what just happened? I don't know. Like, we found this one website. How did we find this website? Because we found this person. Well, how do we find this person? Because I believe they were a speaker. That's how we found them. Yes, we found this person because, on LinkedIn, if you looked at the likes of B-Side San Francisco, and you scroll down, you found that Clint is my talk, How to 10X Your Security, was selected to be shown at B-Side San Francisco Virtual this Sunday. Come check out the schedule. And you're like, well, who's this person? So once you click on it, you found out he's the head of security research there. But you know what else you could do? You could just send a message here. You could totally send a message there. You could do that. If the messages are open here, you could always send a message there. You know what else you could do? You could tweet at. Currently looking to meet people in FS that work in security and see that you're speaking at B-Sides SF this weekend. Would it be possible to connect for 10 to 15 minutes to find out, to learn how you got to where you are in your career and what advice you could have for me? Okay, so you could send this as a tweet. You could also send it as a message. He may get the tweet more than, but remember, if they don't use Twitter, then it doesn't matter. So I'm going to discard this. And if we go down here, well, they do. He uses Twitter all the time. So he tweeted as of like yesterday. So if you wanted to, you could reach out to Clint. So how did we get here? Well, hopefully you remember. And then did I keep track of that? I did not. Look what I just missed. I just missed all that information all right, so we have this person, and then I missed Matt. So I went down that Matt there. Oh, Jonathan. So we got Jonathan here. So if I just found Jonathan, so we're gonna take, do you see how quickly, if you're not keeping track, and I guess that was my way of saying, are you keeping track? So we got Fitbit, and the person that I reached out to was Matt. And you're like, you know what? I think I do want to work at Fitbit. So if we go back over here to Matt, so I guess security leadership is what he wants to go by. And we go over here to document. And then we have this. So we're going to keep track of that. And then if you did send that message, today would be 3/5. And then what is the outcome? And so if you go over here and then just keep track of 7 days from now, if you haven't heard back from Jonathan in 7 days, if you haven't heard from Jonathan in 7 days, so on 3/12, you would look at your follow-ups here and like, well, it's now the 12th. I haven't heard anything from Jonathan, so you would send a follow-up message. And your follow-up message could be, hey, I'm not sure if you got my last message or what the best way to reach out to you is, but I would love to connect with you about maybe just learning more about how you got to where you are in your career. Atomic Django, thanks for subscribing. So if you missed the beginning part, for anyone that subscribes to this Twitch channel, somehow it gives me money. And I never wanted to make money by doing this live stream. I am not selling anything. I am not a recruiter. I'm not hiring. Like, I'm just sharing information. And I've been doing it for a year now. And I've been doing this because I like to help people and I want to help people. And I want you to land a job. 57 people have landed jobs so far. And if DD is still here, DDIP, I think I missed ringing the bell for DDIP. And so if DDIP's still here, let me know. So Atomic Django just subscribed, and anytime someone subscribes and somehow, like B Molly subscribed, thank you for subscribing. But anytime someone subscribes, I'm going to take all the money that this Twitch stream makes, if it ever does make money, and I'm going to give it to the Innocent Lives Foundation. So the Innocent Lives Foundation Lives is a charity that we've supported at Black Hills, and that's where I'm just going to send all the money. So there we go. That is what I'm going to do. Because I don't know what to do with money, so I'm like, I don't think I need it. Okay. All right, so this is where you manage your follow-ups, and then if you haven't heard back 1 month later, you would send one more message. And this is not harassing. It is not harassing to send a message a week later to see if they got your message. It is not harassing to send a message 3 weeks after that to see if they're available now to talk. It's not harassing. It is just you being diligent and persistent in your and being intentional with building your network and meeting people. Voldemort, J. Critch, there will not be a BanjoCrashland t-shirt. Voldemort Noseless, I'm unemployed since more than 2 years. Can you give advice on someone who have job gap? Apparently, if you're not a woman, job gaps aren't justified. I can understand the perspective that you have. Job gap can be, like, I don't know why your job gap was, but transparency for your job gap is generally what I recommend, is what is the reason for your job gap. And you can put that in your cover letter. Like, you may note that I had a 2-year job gap and I just wanted to explain why that 2-year job gap was. Like, and then give your very transparent reason for having a job gap. If it is, I've been hunting for 2 years and I couldn't find anything, then you could say, due to the lack of opportunities in my area and my skills that I had at the time that I've taken over the last 2 years to develop new skills or whatever the case may be, I do feel like I'm a right fit now. And so I've gone through a period of transition and now I'm on the other side of it and I'm looking for a career with your organization. So transparency about your job gap is just, I always feel like the way to go about that. And I work in marketing. I can spin anything to be positive. Like if sales are down, I can tell you why that could potentially be good. If we have less, if there was, hey, we're on the front page of Reddit today because of something stupid we did, and look at all that free publicity, and you're like, I can pretty much spin anything to be a positive if you give me enough time. And so I would spin a job gap to be a positive in your cover letter or in whenever you're reaching out to people, or if you're doing that 10 to 15 minute phone call that I've been recommending. If you get someone to talk to you for 10 to 15 minutes, you can explain your job gap during that 4-minute introduction period. So, Atomic Django said it was an Amazon Prime, so it's a freebie. I'm going to be using the info you gave here on the VHS call to apply for jobs this spring break. That's awesome. All right. Shay441, I currently work as a security guard. Do you think I should add to my resume when applying for cybersecurity roles or not, even though it is non-IT related? So Shay441, you have been safeguarding and protecting an organization for a long period of time. You understand how the thing that you're guarding is safe. You're keeping it safe. So Shay441, here's what I would do. If you typed in security guard into LinkedIn, it's going to say like in jobs. You're like, absolutely in jobs. And so you are a security guard. If you were to spend a period of time hunting these, you would look for monitor all entrances, exits, lock gates, and offices as required. This is probably something that you did. You have the background of monitoring entry points and exit points. Like you are just trained to be on the lookout for anything that looks suspicious at any given time. Monitor daily activities and irregularities such as equipment, property damage, theft, presence of unauthorized persons. You're doing it in the physical form. You're now going to take that mindset, that background, that what you have as a security guard, and then apply it to the practitioner of doing it in cybersecurity. So I would spend some time just doing a hunt for these, it doesn't have to be like targeted. This isn't like in the state that you're from or anything. You just say, here's all these different jobs. And then anytime you find a bullet point that could be useful for you, you would then use it. So ensure personnel security programs are developed and operated in concordance with internal and customer security policies and practices. Develop, track, and report on key program performance metrics. Like anytime you find something that you know how to do, that you can harvest from old job descriptions or job descriptions of what you've done in the past and how you can apply that to cybersecurity, you're totally fine. So Atomic Django, so it could be related. Physical access, part of security, true. So sometimes I come across, there's the chief security officer, and then there's a chief information security officer. And the chief security officer is responsible for all security. So physical security, information security, like all security. And so you may find yourself working in a chief security officer like role or in that department where it's not just about cybersecurity, it's about how can you apply your knowledge of physical security. Because one of the best ones is that I found was Starbucks. So Starbucks, not only do they have to keep track of physical security for each store, but they have to keep track of the information security for each store, the credit card processing, that stuff, like the way you swipe your cards and all that information and the customer data, all those things. So, but it's also, where do you put the money at the end of the night? Like you're bringing in tons of cash every day. Like where do you put that? Like how do you keep track of the security for the door? There's honestly a lot of overlap in mentality. My career origin started out with hanging cameras and card readers on the wall, now leading an insider threat team. For sure, B. Mully, that's awesome. All right, so Jacqueline, we were doing a job hunt for Jacqueline. It is a cybersecurity, entry-level cybersecurity position in San Francisco. We just answered a question here that came in. So if anyone else has questions, feel free to ask them. And Infosec Bro, what's going on? How are you today? Also, if you're watching this recording anywhere else, like on the Black Hills YouTube channel, and you're like, who are you talking to? Well, I realized that in Twitch world, when you watch a recording, all the text and everything's still there. So like as it's happening, like we see everyone's chat. And so that makes sense. But when I put on YouTube, you're like, who is he talking to? Is there someone there? Who's B. Mully? Who's Infosec Bro? Who's Shay441? All right. So Jacqueline, what else would I do if I wanted to get an entry-level job in San Francisco? That's a good question. Here's what else I would do. Let's go to B-Side San Francisco, and let's look at their sponsors. There we go. All right, so the other thing I would do is take a look at who's sponsoring B-Side San Francisco. We got Gusto here, we got ATT&CK, we got Corelight, and we have Adobe. We have Netflix, and we have HackerOne, and we have Apple. And of course we have Google. So what I just did is I brought up all these different websites, and I was like, all right, this even took me to the darn careers page. It's okay, careers page. Because one of the reasons why anyone would want to sponsor a B-Sides, one of the reasons is because they want to hire the people who attend B-Sides. They're trying to fill positions, and so they sponsor a B-Sides so that they have access, or they at least introduce themselves to the attendees of that B-Sides. And this goes for any trade organization anywhere. And so if you were to go to the B-Sides website and take a look at who sponsors them, then these people are more primed to hire the people attending B-Sides. Hopefully that made sense. So if I go through here and I can say see open positions, and you're like, there's 50 open positions, and I could always do a search for, we got security engineer, Denver, remote, San Francisco. So let's take a look at this job here, and this might be something that you could apply for. But even if it isn't, you take a look here and see if there's something like this says 8 years of experience. And Jacqueline, if you haven't watched the other videos, I'm going to bring them up real quick because I highly recommend that you check them out because there's a lot of things I'm not covering today that I do cover on the other videos, part 2, part 3, part 4. So if you go to Black Hills Infosec and you go to uploads, we have this part 1 here. I'm going to drop the link into the chat. So if you want to check out part 1, and then if you want to check out part 2, this is where we do the reverse engineering of job descriptions. It's one of my favorite things to write, custom job descriptions. So we got part 2 here, and then something bad happened to part 3. I don't want to talk about it. I didn't record it. There was like a break in the video where like it stopped recording on Twitch, and then it became 2 videos, and I only downloaded one of them, and it's the second half, and then I didn't want to upload the second half because it didn't want to make any sense, and it's fine. It's fine.
Go through 3. Thanks for following.
All right. And then let's go to part 4 is the one that I just did last week, which is like a real deep dive into finding people at organizations to reach out to. So it's a lot of the stuff that I covered today for you, but if you want to take a look at that. Oh, that also, it's the same link? Why would that be the same link? It doesn't make any sense. How could the YouTube video be the same link?
Go through 3 things.
Did I not hit the button? Oh, okay. User error. There we go. All right, so that's part 2. All right, so I went to Gusto, and I found this. So let's take a look at what other one I found. We got ATT&CK. So if I wanted to scroll all the way down, jeez. Go down here to work. Does anyone see where you can get a job here? Company, customers, jobs. There we go. And then here you could do a search for security analysis and research. There's one other person I want to introduce you to, Jacqueline. One other technique that I would do. So I'm going to close all this out. You would do the same thing for all those different places. Did that make sense? So I went to the local trade organization here. I found who was sponsoring it. Then I went to there's companies' websites, and then that's a great way to get started for which companies to reach out to. All right, so Jacqueline, the last tip that I have for you today of all the things that we've found so far is how to find companies in San Francisco. And I had it in my head, and then I just lost it. So give me 1 second to remember what I wanted to say. Now, the one thing we didn't do here is do cybersecurity intern. Cybersecurity intern. I guess we never did the actual traditional job hunt. And we go to jobs, and then over here, type in San Francisco. And then it's going to give me all 190 internships in San Francisco. So things like Palo Alto or DevOps or People Analytics or Cybersecurity Engineer Intern. So in the other live streams, what I would normally do is you would find this description. You would then create a custom resume based on the job description here. So you would create a custom resume based on this. And then you would go to the company's website. So step 1 is to find the job that you want. Step 2 is to create a custom resume. Step 3 is to go to the company's website. So we got Steris here. And then you go over here to open in a new tab. And then you go to careers. And then you would find the exact same internship. So this is in Richmond, California. So I don't know if that's good for you, but Cybersecurity Engineer Intern. So if I go over to this and I type in cyber and do a search, it's got the same cybersecurity internship. So you would apply at the company's websites. Yeah. Cool. So for everyone watching right now, if you're new to this live stream, if this is the first time you've ever been here, you've never heard me talk about the end things, you haven't watched any of the other videos, this is your very first time here, then let me just make sure I reiterate the job hunt process. Step 1 is to find a job you want to apply for. Step 2 is to create a tailored resume based on the job description by reverse engineering the job description to write that custom resume. Step number 3 is to apply at the company's website, not on LinkedIn, not on Indeed or Glassdoor or Monster. Like, don't apply at the company's website. You want to apply at the You want to apply at the company's website. So you would apply now. Same thing. You would keep track of all this information. So you're gonna have to create an email address and password. You're gonna confirm you're not a robot. And where do you keep track of this information? Well, you would keep track of it on your document of where the website is, and then you would hover over it and say, this is where I put my username and password for this company. And so you're keeping track of all that information here. So you go through and you create an account, and then you apply. You apply for this specific job. And the reason why you apply for this specific job is because if you go to the company's website, you get integrated into their HR management system. Like, it's not just something that's on LinkedIn or Monster or Indeed. Like, this is integrated into their HR management system. This job has its own unique code, and there's a person who's monitoring this code. So when you submit, there's most likely an email will get generated and sent to the human being that's responsible for this job description and filling this position specifically. And so all of that happens. You also get an email and stuff like that. And then the next step would be, well, now that I've applied, so step 1 is to find a job that's available. Step 2 is create a tailored resume. Step 3 is to apply at the company's website. You can then apply too. You can apply at LinkedIn too. As you can see, 33 other people did. So 33 other people applied for this job. You would be number 34, but you're not, you're 34, but you're going to do a bunch of other things. Like, you wrote a tailored resume based on the job description, and you went to the company's website and applied there and applied with the other 33 people at LinkedIn. And then this is why I'm frustrated with the human being who told you that you're never going to find an entry-level position without experience. Like, that's why I'm frustrated with that person, because that person had that one experience and they're projecting that experience on you, and I want to project a different experience on you, one that you can go like, well, I'm going to hack my way in, and these other 33 people are not. Now, I'm not saying it's going to work, but I want to rather project an idea of like, no, I'm going to get the job if I want to work there. And then if they want to like say, no, you're not, like they, as far as Steris goes, I don't think you're the right person, but you're like, but I'm going to do everything I can. All right, so we're back over here to Steris. They got 6,400 employees, and that's great. Let's click on people. And we click on recruiter. You know what recruiter we're really looking for? The campus recruiter. The university recruiter or campus recruiter. If they have a university recruiter or campus recruiter, yes, he told me you need to start with internship because you have no experience. Yeah, okay. I see. So there's a special type of recruiter, And every once in a while, if you're in college or if you're recently graduated, you'll find this very special recruiter. And I'm not sure if we're going to find it here, but it says something like university or campus or college recruiter, because those are the people who specialize in hiring college students. And so I'm going through this list right now, just seeing if I find it. And there's a real good chance I don't. Every once in a while I do, and I'm like, yay! But these are all the recruiters at Steris. Got HR, we got service, we got office administrator, we got... All right, so I feel like I've gone far enough. I'm not going to find it. Right, so what do? If we wanted to get this internship at Steris, here's an internship, cybersecurity engineer intern, with 33 other people, then you would skip over to back here and say, well, all right, well, let's reach out to Kimberly. Hey, Kitty. Nona, Amanda, talent acquisition partner, senior recruiter, senior talent acquisition, senior talent. Like, it doesn't matter which one. And the question is, can I reach out to all of them? Sure, you can reach out to all of them if you wanted to. Just a reminder, though, that we work in cybersecurity, and whenever you reach out to all people all at once, it can look like a massive phishing operation, and that's okay. Recruiters are more likely to not think it's a massive phishing operation, but if you were to reach out to the entire cybersecurity team at any organization all at once and like, hey, I'd just like to, introduce myself and get 10 to 15 minutes to find out more about your organization, then they all might be like, red flags, red flags, red flags. So just keep that in mind when it comes to cybersecurity people. Kitty, you okay? Is that your I need to throw up meow? So whenever the cat needs to throw up, he meows, but it sounds like daddy. It's real weird. So we got Kimberly here. Oh, look, Kimberly has her messages wide open. So if you wanted to get the, so remember, what's the steps? Step 1 is to find a job you want to apply for. Step 2 is to create a tailored resume based on the job description. Step number 3 is to apply at the company's website. So now you've applied at the company's website. Step number 4 is to find an internal advocate to reach out to as a human being that has applied at their company. And this would be Kimberly. And then this message would be a little different, Jacqueline. This message would be, hi, my name is Jacqueline, and I'd like to introduce myself. And the message would be something like, hello, Kimberly. I see you're a senior talent acquisition partner at Steris, and I recently applied for, and you could link to this. You could totally link to the thing that you clicked on. Also, this is the job ID. So if you wanted to, you could just say, I just applied for Rec ID 2300. It's an internship. It's cybersecurity engineer internship. And so now you're sending a message to Kimberly, and you're like, hi, I'm reaching out to you because I just applied, and I see that you're a talent acquisition person at Steris. My name is Jacqueline, and I'm getting ready to graduate. Steris looks like a great company to start my cybersecurity career. Number 4 is, there are 4 sentences. Would it be possible to talk to you for 10 to 15 minutes and introduce myself a little bit and find out more about the hiring process for the internships? And then lastly, the best way to reach me is to get in touch with me through LinkedIn, or here's my phone number, and I'm available at any time. All right, so Voldermonosis. I'm from India, and here it's messed up. I have 2 years of IT experience, and I'm trying to get into AI. Here I need to fake my experience to even get an interview. Yeah, India is super competitive, but then again, there are so many positions open. I would recommend applying in a lower position in the same company and then move laterally. So Voldy, like, I'm not sure if in India you can do this. Like, can you reach out to people? Can you introduce yourself to people? Because I feel like it works here. It doesn't work all the time, because remember, you go back to, out of the 100 people you reach out to, 99 of them won't get back to you. So, expect a 1% success rate. if you can, I would start the process of reaching out. And there's also B-Sides India. So there's B-Sides India, like actual B-Sides India. And I think it's in Delhi, but then there's other groups, I think. And so B-Sides Delhi here. Here's what I would do if I was in India. It doesn't work in India. Yeah, it doesn't work. So in India, I would do it slightly differently. You have people here that are speakers. And whenever someone is a speaker, that person has almost opened themselves up to talk about their talk. So one of the things that you can do when you find a speaker who is speaking at a conference here is if you go over to this part and we do a search for India. Okay, so we have the same person here. Their messages are open. So in this sense, it's going to be a little bit different. You're not looking for a job. You're not looking for a job. You're looking for advice for how to find cybersecurity work in India by reaching out to someone who has their messages open. I'm just going to drop this in over here for you. So there you go. You can reach out to this person. Now, what if they don't use LinkedIn? There's a possibility they don't use LinkedIn. So if I go over here and I right click and take a look at their activity, and I may or may not see that they're actually using LinkedIn. No, 7 hours ago. So within the last 7 hours, last 8 hours, they're posting things. So this is the person who, this might be the person who just at least gives you insight to what the industry looks like in your area, so that way you can start, like, did you know that cyber warfare labs existed? And if you go down here, like, well, what's NullCon? And if you go down here more, like, well, what's Red Team Hacker Academy? Like, is that something I can take a look at? And who's this person, and where do they work? And like, now who's that? And like, so this might be just an entry point for you to start learning about your community, who's in your industry, and who you can reach out to. So it doesn't, when you say it doesn't work in India, like, I don't know if I'm pretty sure it doesn't work anywhere, right? Like, when I say 99 out of 100 people won't get back to you, what I'm saying is it doesn't work except for just a little bit. But that little bit is all you need for your career. And so in India, it doesn't work for 99 out of the 100 people that you reached out to, but for the one person who does get back to you, then it does work. And so it works in India, it works in the United States. Like, I am so used to rejection. I'm so used to people not responding. I'm so used to it that when someone does respond, I'm like, yes! Oh, thank God. Oh, whew. Hey, thanks so much for getting back to me. I really appreciate it. And then we start that conversation, but I just need that one foot in the door, that one initial step, because they may introduce me to more people, and then they introduce me to more people, and then they introduce me to more people. Like, how does Jason Blanchard go from working in the comic book and film industry 5 years ago to what I've been able to do in the cybersecurity industry in the last 5 years? And it was my first 4 months of being in the cybersecurity industry was me on Twitter. Like, who are these people? What is B-Sides? Who is this? And I've told this story before, but one of the very first people that I ever met in the cybersecurity industry was Tony Turner. Is my introduction to the cybersecurity industry. So Tony Turner was a B-Sides organizer for B-Sides Orlando, and I reached out because I was from Orlando, and I was like, hey, Tony, I'm from Orlando. I just got this job at the SANS Institute, and I want to know more about B-Sides. Could I get a quick call with you? And he walked me through all the steps. He was like, well, this is what B-Sides is. This is who you can reach out to. This is another person. And then I was like, well, can I come to B-Sides? And he's like, sure. So I went there. And then I volunteered to help. Like, at the end of the day, I was like, do you guys need help? And so I started helping. And then I met Jonathan Singer. And then I met more and more people at B-Sides Orlando. And from that, they introduced me to more people. And then I got to know those people, and they introduced me to more. But Tony Turner is the first guy. I'm not sure if this is the person who was giving me the right advice. Apparently not, but he also mentioned to remove my hospitality experience from my resume. According to his experience, employees don't like that. If you watch the second video, so the second video is on how to reverse engineer your job description, Jacqueline. So here is my advice for job descriptions. Is that your job description, I'm going to copy this right now. I'm going to go over to a blank document. Your tailored job description will follow what they're looking for. And it says what you will do. You're going to do vulnerability scanning. You're going to assist with secure. So let's say you've done vulnerability scanning, or let's say you haven't. So you, in your resume, say knowledge of vulnerability scanning, assist with log. And I'm not saying you're going to totally, you're not plagiarizing this resume here. What you're doing is, and I do get into this in really super deep in depth in video 2, but you would write a thing about yourself here, about me, and here, let's look through this real quick. The cybersecurity intern will be working directly with the STERIS regulatory internal documents and to ensure all this stuff. Okay. All right, so this is just what you'll be doing. So I'm going to get rid of that. The cybersecurity intern will support. All right, so support. Here's the keyword I'm going to key on. Cybersecurity activities for the new product. All right, so I would rewrite this to I am currently looking for a cybersecurity engineer internship where I can support activities for new product development and sustaining to develop or improve cybersecurity hygiene and healthcare products. You could reword this whole description right here to be true about you, and that's what I talk about normally on Tuesday nights. We go through a very in-depth, but today I wanted to go off on this tangent of how do you get an entry-level job, and by meeting people and finding out where the industry is and to locate all that stuff. But when it gets into the nitty-gritty of actually creating a resume, it would be Jacqueline, last name, phone, email, LinkedIn, here, and then we go over and do this, and I do this, and I do this. Let's shrink this down a little bit. All right. And then let's look at what they're looking for. Completion of at least 1 year in a cybersecurity related field. Okay. Coursework, got it. Lab work or exposure to vulnerability scanning, probably. Previous experience with VirtualBox, experience writing scripts, experience with code, exposure to Metasploit, exposure to software, and you're cool. And then we get down here to this. Excellent verbal and written communication skills, self-motivated with great multitasking. These 2 bullet points right here is where you would list 5 of the takeaways from working in the hospitality industry. Because I'm pretty sure you got great verbal and written communication skills while working in the hospitality industry. You were self-motivated while working in the hospitality industry. You multitasked relentlessly in the hospitality industry. So what you would do is expand on these 2 key points by talking about your past experience in the hospitality industry. So yes, it still applies. And okay. Anybody else? Any questions? I got 6 minutes here. All right. So what is the last step? Well, Jacqueline, the last step is to Make sure you're keeping track of all this information. Who you reached out to, when you reached out to them, who got back to you, what did they talk about? Did they lead you to somebody else? If they did you follow with that additional person? Did that person get back to you? So part of the job hunt is the ability to stay organized. Part of the job hunt is to reach out to 100 people and to expect one response. All that's a part of the job hunt. Jacqueline, thanks for giving us an opportunity to do a job hunt for you today. I hope you enjoyed B-Side San Francisco. If you come back, we do this every Tuesday nights and Friday afternoons. I would love to hear about your experience at B-Side San Francisco if you're able to make it. And the one more key takeaway for B-Side San Francisco is this. If you go to B-Side San Francisco this weekend and there's a talk you like, and one we got right here is non-political security learnings, and it is going to be streaming at, join us here, and we have a name here. Do you know what this name is? So every name that you find listed on their website, and if you like this talk, so you attend this talk, you like it, you can then go to LinkedIn, put in that person's name, and then you can reach out, do a connect. So you would connect, you would add a note, really enjoyed your talk this weekend. Would it be possible to chat with you for 10 to 15 minutes to learn more about how you got to where you are in your career, and what advice would you have for someone like me getting started? Hi, I just found you Twitch. I recently passed my CYSA and I don't have any IT experience. I'm 30 years old. How can I make myself marketable? Femi OB, thanks for being here. I am getting ready to wrap up today, but I'm going to answer your question since you just found me on Twitch and you just finished that. One of the things that you can do is if you type in CYSA plus, and then click on the jobs tab, is that it's going to list every single job that is currently looking for that certification in the United States. So if you go over here to all filters, you can then go in here and type in remote, and then it's going to give you the 28 remote positions that are currently looking for that on your resume. So you could go through here, and then from that point, follow step 1. Is there a job here that you want to apply for? Step 2 is to create a tailored resume based on that job description. So reverse engineering that job description, taking your 30 years of experience, and then crafting a resume that follows what they're looking for. So if they're looking for this stuff, you would put how your past experience applies to as much of this as possible. It's not going to apply completely to all this. And then step number 3 is that you would then go to the company's website and then apply there. And then step number 4 is you would find people that work at Full Stack Academy to introduce yourself to. And step number 5 is that you would manage all this information so that way you're not forgetting anything. And as you find more and more things along the way, you would then apply. Now, let's say you lived in Denver, then you would just type in Denver. And you would remove the remote part. And say, show results. And so it lists the 18 jobs that are currently seeking the CYSA in Denver, Colorado. So that would be my first advice to you, where to get started, and then watch the other videos if you need more. Or show up Tuesday nights, 7 to 9 p.m. We can do a job hunt for you if you're the first person to apply in the Twitch chat. Or we do it Friday afternoons. I will not be here next Friday because I will be on a little vacation. So I won't be here next Friday. All right, everybody, that's it for today. Thanks for joining me. My name is Jason Blanchard. I do these job hunts because I like to, and it brings me joy. So I'm going to do my final thoughts for today, and my final thoughts are this. As a reminder that my experience is not your experience. Your experience is not my experience, and the people who give you advice, it is also not their experience. They can say this is what worked for me, but to tell you that something's not going to work for you, I don't agree with that at all. So Jacqueline, the person who told you or gave you advice, they can say, in my experience, this is what worked for me, or in my experience, this is what happened to me. But to tell you, for me to tell you what's going to happen, I don't know. I don't know because I'm not you. And I don't know what you're going to say. I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know how you're going to reach out. I don't know how you're going to take all this information and apply it differently and make it even better. So I would rather project on you that you have the ability to hack your way into any dream job that you want, instead of telling you there's no way. Now, if that person who tells you no way makes you more determined to want to prove them wrong, then cool. But if the person ever tells you no way and you take it like, oh, you're right. You're right. It's never going to work for me. And I don't think, Jacqueline, you did that. But just remember that the people who give you advice are projecting their own experience upon your situation. And that's why I ask people, can you tell me how you got to where you are in your career, and what advice would you have for someone like me? It's because they're just going to project all their successes and failures onto me, and like, well, I would do this, I would do this. And you just take it and you say, thank you so much for your time. And then see if there's something that you can glean from that you can use for yourself. But with that, I'll see you all next time.